Welcome to Kitchen Uncovered. I'm Chef Andrew Nicholson here at the Culinary Institute of Canada. Today we're doing simple desserts. Well, I'd like to welcome Michelle Matheson, presently enrolled in the pastry program here at the Culinary Institute of Canada. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Very excited about what you have to cook for us today, but tell us a little bit about yourself. And
All right. I recently graduated from the Culinary Institute and I took the culinary program. I'm currently enrolled in the pastry program, which was awesome. Last summer we went to Germany for the Culinary Olympics. We ended up placing in silver. We got a silver medal. We did all cold competition, so it was basically glazed in an aspic jelly, and it was just for show. Like, no one tasted it. There was no taste whatsoever. We trained all summer. We started in May, and we left in September for Germany, and it was a great overall experience.
And what made you choose to come to the Culinary Institute of Canada?
Ever since I was in junior high, I wanted to take culinary, and then when I got to high school, we had a trade program, so I took the cooking program there, and I knew this school was a great school, so I came here, and I ended up loving it, and I'm still here.
Awesome, awesome. So what are we going to do today?
Today we're going to do some simple creme brulees, easy to do at home, and then we're going to do some shortbread cookies to go along with it, and then we're going to finish off with a nice truffle.
Okay.
So starting off, we're going to get the liter cream. So you need heavy whipping cream, 35%.
35 or higher? Can you use a lower percentage? Can you use 18%?
I guess you could if you wanted like the whole nutritional value of it all, but it's better to use a thicker cream.
The heavier cream?
Yeah.
A little richer, but if you were, because there is some recipes out there that say that you can use milk, but they just don't have the.
Right. Well, there's a simpler, not simpler, but a different recipe with the creme caramel, which uses milk, so it's more of a nutritional value if you're going for that. If you want a custard dessert with a traditional creaminess, it's good to use the cream.
Okay. Okay, so we just put a liter cream in the pot.
Yep.
And then we're going to...
We are going to warm that up, but don't boil it, so on medium heat, just heat up the cream a bit.
So just bring it up to temperature.
Yep, and we're going to take our vanilla bean. So they are from Madagascar.
So and those are specifically the high-end vanilla beans. Instead of using vanilla extract, we're actually going to use the seeds.
You can definitely use vanilla extract if you want. In the recipe, it calls for, when you put the bean in, you have to let it steep for a bit. And if you use extract, you don't need to do that. So
this gives it a much fresher flavor and a little more intense vanilla flavor.
Right. So what I'm doing is I'm cutting the vanilla bean in half, and then I'm cutting it down lengthways, and then scraping the seeds out. So I'm going to take the seeds, and we're going to put the seeds and the pod into the cream.
Okay, and that will kind of break itself up as it starts to dissolve and cook a little bit?
It'll eventually dissolve, and then at the end of the cooking process, we'll end up straining it out so you don't have to worry about the pod.
So how many does this recipe normally yield, or what's your amount that you normally get out of?
It's good for a family of 6 to 8, or if you're having guests over, you can easily double it, and if you want less, you can definitely cut it in half.
Okay.
Today, it's going to be a honey creme brulee, because PEI has tons of honey producers. About 2 tablespoons of honey, and put it in our cream to mix with our vanilla. Yeah. Slightly heat that up. And then...
So 2 tablespoons of honey?
Yeah.
I notice you're kind of like me, you just kind of add till it looks good.
I just add it. So we're going to take 6 eggs, and we're going to separate them. And you only want the yolks.
Just the yolks? Why do you just want the yolks?
It adds for a creamier texture, because if you have the egg whites, it usually coagulates and it'll make it a little more liquidy. Okay.
And you can use the egg whites for something else later, meringue.
You can save them. You can, if you don't want to use them right away, you can also freeze them if you want.
So if you can get whites into your yolks, but it's bad to get yolks into your whites because it kind of, if you're going to use the whites for meringue later, they kind of tend to not levitate as much.
Exactly. They won't incorporate air as much as like just the whites will. If you get yolk in there, that's the fat content. So then it won't give you the air that you need to incorporate to make a meringue, or if you're doing angel food cake, wherever you need air.
Notice the cream's just starting to come up to temperature there now. So
so we give that a stir.
So that didn't take very long?
Nope. It doesn't take long at all for cream, but you gotta watch not to boil it.
Right.
So that if you boil it, it might curdle, and if you have curdled milk, you have to start over.
You don't want to do that because cream can be relatively expensive. So
cream is expensive, yeah. So stir this.
Okay.
And then we'll wait for it to get a little hotter. And as we wait for that to come up to temperature, we're going to mix...
Do that in there?
The 6 egg yolks
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to do half a cup of sugar. So the sugar and the egg yolks together are known as creaming method. So we're going to just kind of
Stir them up?
Yeah,
Whisk
we're
them
going
up?
to whisk these up.
Okay. So when you do this, you have to be careful to mix the sugar and the yolks right away, right? Because
Right.
if you walked away and answered the phone or something, what might happen?
They can deflate. So right now we got this creamy yellow texture, and that means there's some good air in there.
Yep.
And then we'll
And you
keep
want the
whisking
airiness
that.
to help keep it light.
Exactly.
Okay.
So what we're
That's
going to
great.
do, after we whisk these up, we're going to grab the cream and we're going to put it through a strainer so that we can grab the,
Okay.
yeah. And then that'll strain out the vanilla bean that we previously put in.
Yeah, because we don't want the vanilla bean in there, but the seeds will break down and go through the strainer, so you'll actually might have some seeds in your. Okay.
All right. So we can
So
put the
put that
strainer
there.
there.
Just throw that back on the.
So,
All right.
right now, I'm going to ask Chef Andrew, he'll help me temper. So,
Okay.
tempering, you take the egg yolks and you slowly pour in the hot cream to bring it up to temperature. And then,
So we're going to do this slowly so that we don't cook the egg yolks.
Yeah.
Right? We just want to slowly bring it up because we don't want to have scrambled eggs.
no one likes scrambled
Right?
eggs. as
Although
a
they'd be good
dessert.
scrambled eggs.
They would be. Sweet scrambled eggs.
Right? So just slow like that, a nice steady trickle.
Yep. And then gradually the egg yolks will become the same temperature as the cream, and then you can just mix it all in.
And you just start going a little bit faster.
Yep.
Are we worried about over whisking here or getting extra air into the thing, or is that an issue?
No, that's not really an issue. The bubbles, I mean, since you're going to brulee at the top, the bubbles will definitely diminish anyway. And all you really have to do is make sure it's fully incorporated before you put it in your ramekins to cook.
Okay. So we're gonna put this. Into the ramekins.
Right.
And then we're gonna bake them in the oven.
Yes.
And about how long are we gonna bake them?
Usually around 40, 45 minutes. It all depends on when you give it a little shake, how jiggly the middle is.
Okay.
So if the middle's too jiggly, the inside's probably not done.
Okay. So while Michelle's putting this in the ramekins and into the oven, we're going to take a quick break, but come right back because we're going to be making shortbread cookies.
Fast-paced, close-knit.
Enlightening, hands-on.
Hands-on learning. It's yours, like, yeah, I made that, that was me. You want the experience, you want the passionate instructors, you want the hands-on training, you want to learn, not just from a book, but from your own hands to learn all that. It's just fantastic.
Community organizations and not-for-profit groups are invited to submit their announcements for free promotion on the Community One bulletin boards. Visit us at bellalliant.net/community1.
And we're back. Welcome to Kitchen Uncovered. I'm Chef Andrew Nicholson at the Culinary Institute of Canada, here with pastry student Michelle Matheson. Today we're doing simple pastries, and we did creme brulee. We've got the custard made mix.
Yep.
We've got brulees in the oven, baking. They're going to take about
40, 45 minutes.
45 minutes or so at 325
Yep.
Fahrenheit. And so now we're going to do, what's next? We're going to do some shortbread cookies.
Yeah, we're going to make some simple shortbread cookies.
Awesome.
We're going to start off with the creaming method, which is just taking some fat and some sugar. So we have some unsalted butter, which is the best. And usually, like, you have to try to use butter because butter makes the cookies really flaky, which is what you kind of look for in a shortbread cookie.
Right.
So first we're going to add our butter and our sugar, and we're going to cream that on high speed in your KitchenAid mixer. And then we're going to slowly add the eggs that we're going to separate, and then the salt, the vanilla, and then the flour to leave. And then we have to let it stand in the freezer for an hour.
Okay. Is there a way you could use margarine in this recipe instead of butter, or do you prefer the butter?
I prefer butter. You can use margarine if you want to use margarine. It won't give you the flaky texture that you would get with butter, but it's
But
not
it
going to
still
ruin your
could
cookie
still
or
could be
anything.
good cookie.
Right.
Okay.
So we're gonna
add the sugar,
add the sugar.
and we're gonna do this in the mixer just to keep things simple. You could do it by hand, but
Yeah,
why would you when you got a mixer on the table?
exactly. So we're gonna mix the butter and the sugar all together in the mixer on medium speed.
Medium speed?
Yep.
Okay. Pull it up. So what we're looking for there is just to get the sugar and the butter blended in together nice and smooth and evenly.
Yep. We want to incorporate air to the fat and then the sugar.
Yep.
And then when we incorporate that, the steam will happen and then the cookies will rise and it'll be for a good cookie.
So it's kind of acting as a leavening agent.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
once that's
while
creamy
that's
and smooth.
yeah, while that's creamy, I'm going to separate 3 eggs. So you just want the egg yolks for this again.
You wouldn't use the whole egg again?
No. The egg yolk will make it creamier and richer, and everyone likes a creamy, rich shortbread.
Okay. And you could add your egg whites to the batch you just did with the brulee mix and
Yep. You
make
can
more
save
meringue.
it, make meringue, angel food cake. You can do some macaroons. You can just freeze them.
Okay.
Any way you want to utilize so we don't have any waste, you can do.
Okay. So Bert, how long does this typically take, and how far ahead could you do the cookie dough?
You could have the cookie dough ready to go a day or 2 in advance, and then you can have it ready to be rolled whenever, and whenever you want it, you can just use it.
You can just leave it in the fridge and then
Yeah.
bake it as you wanted it, so you could kind of have it
Yeah,
prepped.
and you can freeze it if you want. If you don't want to use it all and you want to have cookies down the road, you can do that too.
Okay.
So
That's good tips. You're not making cookies every day.
Yeah. We're going to turn your KitchenAid mixer back on low speed.
Okay.
And at low speed, we're going to add the eggs one by one.
Okay.
So
and why do we do it one by one? Just
it just lets it incorporate easier
bit more
instead of
evenly?
adding them all. So if you add them all, it takes the butter and the sugar longer time to mix it all together.
okay. So this is something you could do with a mixing bowl at home if you didn't have the tabletop mixer, but
Yeah, you could do it with, you could get your
Just takes a
wooden
little bit more
spatula. just
shoulder
cream
work.
it. A little more elbow grease. So we got those mixing. We're
Okay.
gonna add some vanilla and salt. So we got about a teaspoon of vanilla and a teaspoon of salt.
okay.
And we're gonna mix that together until it's nice and fluffy. And then when that is ready, we're gonna scrape down the sides. So pass me a spatula. So it's good to scrape down the sides because then you get everything incorporated and you know that's gonna be thorough.
Right.
And then
You
you,
don't want
won't
to leave
have
some whole
lumps
butter
and
on the
bits.
side of the corner of the pot when you're done.
Right. You don't want lumps and stuff in your cookies.
And at what point do we add the flour?
You don't want to add it too early because then there's risk of over mixing and then you could form gluten.
Okay.
And this recipe calls for some pastry flour, but if you don't have pastry flour, you can substitute it for AP flour. You just have to use less because AP flour has more gluten in it, and you don't really want tough cookies.
No, we're not making bread.
Right.
So
So-
pastry flour. So the pastry flour is just milled a little bit differently, and it's got less gluten development in it.
Right. So it's a softer flour, and it's good for pastries and cookies and all that
Cakes and all the
delicate
more
work.
delicate stuff.
Yeah.
So what was the ratio again? If you're using all-purpose instead of pastry flour, you
we
cut
got-
it back by.
It's like a third because we have 3 cups, and then if you have to cut it back to AP to 2 2/3 of a cup.
Okay.
So that'll reduce your gluten and it won't make for a tough cookie.
Okay.
So we're just gonna mix that until the flour is incorporated.
Just until it comes together as a ball.
Yeah, and then we can knead it a bit on our clean work surface, and then we're gonna wrap it up and let it set in the fridge for a bit.
Okay.
Up to an hour will make it keep their shape when we roll them out,
Right.
which is really good because you don't want, in case you want to make a specialty shape, like you might want to make some stars or maybe hearts or a specialty occasion.
You could use any kind of shape of cookie cutter you might have planned for.
So right now we're just going to clean off our paddle attachment,
Okay.
and then we're going to lightly dust our cutting board. Would you like to do that for me?
Sure. A little bit of dust on the cutting board, just or work surface.
I'm just scraping in the sides to get all the batter because you want all your cookie batter.
Okay. Is that enough dusting?
Yeah, that's good dusting.
Good dusting?
You're natural.
Thanks. I've been working on it at home.
Practicing. All right, so we're just gonna get all of our shortbread cookie batter out.
Okay. So this is about the consistency we're looking for.
Yeah, pretty shortbread cookie.
And again, you don't want to overwork this so
Right.
that you don't want to develop the gluten. You want the cookies to be nice and light
Yep.
when they bake off. So you've got the butter in there for fat, for leavening, and you've got the egg yolks in there for
Also
a
leavening,
little
got
bit
them
of
in for
richness.
flavor,
And then
color.
you've got the pastry flour so that it doesn't work the gluten.
Yeah, so you
Okay.
get your dough and you knead it. You go from 12 to 6 o'clock, and then you got it, and it's all come together, and then we're gonna wrap it up and put it in the fridge.
12 to 6, so about a quarter, half turn.
Yeah, and you don't want to just make a ball of dough because it probably won't cool down the fast
Okay.
that you need it. So if you just make a round disc and you wrap it up, put it in the fridge. But right now we have one ready to
And
be rolled out.
what's the purpose of putting it in the fridge? Just to let the butter firm up?
Yeah, if you
And
let
just
the
kinda
butter
let it
firm up,
relax a little
it'll
bit?
keep its shape while you're rolling it out and cutting it.
Okay.
So when you bake it, they won't completely ooze out.
Okay. So we have one that's been resting in the fridge.
Yep, so we're gonna wrap that one up.
Okay.
So
Do
again,
that.
you don't really need any more flour if you have some left over from the first time. What we're gonna do is just lightly dust your surface. Get everything in some room. We're gonna take your rolling pin
Mm-hmm.
and also lightly dust it. You can just spin it while you spin the flour and rub it on.
That'll keep it from sticking to the rolling pin,
Yeah.
pretty much.
So if you want to go from the center and work your way up and then work your way down. So if you go up
So center out.
and down, yeah. And then you can even turn it. Make sure there's flour on your dough. And then again, middle out and then middle down.
Okay. And how thin do you roll it? Just is that depending on your own style or your
Yeah.
own?
It depends on like how you want your cookies really.
Okay.
I mean, we're going to do them about 1/4 of an inch thick,
Okay.
I would say. Makes for a good fluffy cookie. So you just take your dough,
Yeah.
and we have some circle cutters. You can do stars, you can do hearts, you can do anything. You can just cut them into squares and you'll have some squares.
Okay.
So what you kind of need to utilize your dough because you don't really want to be rolling out your dough too much or it'll acquire gluten again.
Right. So the less you work it, the better off it is.
Exactly. So you can take a little bit of flour if you want to dust your cutting.
Yeah.
So if your cutter is dusted, your cookies won't stick. And we're just going to
Okay.
lay
Okay.
them on the cookie sheet.
Can I lift them out while you're cutting them?
Yeah. Got this offset.
So we're just going to pick these up and just slide them over.
Slide them on. And then we got our oven on. It's on about 325. And you
So
bake them until they're kind of golden brown, but you don't want them to be too dark because, I mean, typical shortbread is.
Right. So we're using the same oven that we typically have the creme brulees in, just out
Yeah.
of.
That's why it's so convenient because you can cook your brulees and your shortbreads all at once.
Right. Okay, good.
Cool.
We should. All right.
So we're gonna,
So put these in the oven.
Yep.
And like you said, we don't want to overwork the dough, but we can.
yeah, you can definitely re-roll these scraps if you want more cookies, but for now I think that's good with
Okay.
the brulees we have.
Yeah.
And all you have to do is ball it back up and redust your surface and then roll it back out and
Roll
you're
it back
good.
out in, then keep going.
Yeah, we're gonna freeze this, probably save it for some other cookies.
Okay, so we're gonna put these in the oven.
Yep.
Check on our brulees and see how done they are.
Yeah.
All right.
See if they're nice and jiggly.
Okay. So while Michelle's put those in the oven, we're checking on the creme brulees, but don't go away. We'll be right back. We're gonna do some chocolate truffles when we come back.
Fast-paced, close-knit,
Enlightening, hands-on,
hands-on.
hands-on learning. It's yours, like, yeah, I made that, that was me. You want the experience, you want the passionate instructors, you want the hands-on training, you want to learn, not just from a book, but from your own hands to learn all that. It's just fantastic.
Welcome back to Kitchen Uncovered. Today I'm Chef Andrew Nicholson at the Culinary Institute of Canada. We have Michelle Matheson here doing simple desserts. We've done creme brulees. We made a simple vanilla custard.
Yep.
We've baked the creme brulees in the oven for
About
45
an hour.
minutes to an hour at 325 degrees. We made shortbread cookies.
Yes, we did.
We've got those baked off at 325 as well for
About 15, 20 minutes
15.
until they're a little golden brown set up around the edges.
Okay. And so the brulees are in the fridge cooling off, so
Yep.
as they need a little bit of time to set, so that they need to be that custardy, creamy kind of feel.
Right. And then, right now we're going to start making a chocolate ganache.
Okay.
All right.
And so what do we need for the chocolate ganache?
You basically only need, a ganache is just a mixture of cream and a couverture anytime you want. You can use white chocolate, milk chocolate, dark chocolate. We have dark chocolate today. So I'm just going to heat up some cream.
Okay.
Again, on medium heat, just so it doesn't boil.
You don't want to boil it, you're just heating up the cream, right?
Right. And then we're going to take some dark couverture.
So can we use milk or white chocolate for this recipe, or?
Yeah. So you can use milk or white, but if you use milk, you have to bump up the chocolate about 50% just because the cream won't make it as hard. It
Okay.
won't set as good. So
But dark chocolate's preferred,
yeah, it makes the
easier to work with.
best truffle.
Okay. So we're going to heat up the cream just to the boiling point, and then how do we melt the chocolate?
We're going to pour over the hot cream, and then we're also going to add a little bit of butter.
And what does the butter do?
The butter helps the chocolate set. So butter, when it's hard, it's obviously hard. So it'll help the truffles stay firm, and they won't melt when you're rolling them.
Okay. When we took the creme brulees out of the oven, they were in there for about 45 minutes to an hour. But
Right.
but there's that little 50-minute gap that we're worried about. When do we know when they're ready?
You can open the oven door, and you can actually just jiggle it.
Yeah.
And when you take the ramekin and you jiggle it a bit, and then the middle of it is about the size of a quarter or a dime, then you know it's done, and then you take it out.
So it's not going to be completely set in the oven. It's going to be
Right.
a little bit loose.
It's going to be a little bit
But
jiggly.
just in the very center.
Exactly.
So would you compare that to, say, setting Jell-O?
Yeah, basically. So when you shake the creme brulee, it should just kind of have a little dime shape in the
Okay.
middle.
Okay.
So
And at least an hour in the fridge, but better if we set it overnight.
yeah, exactly. And they can keep up to 4 days.
Okay.
So
So the couverture dark chocolate,
Yep.
we've put that in the bowl with some butter, and now we've got the hot chocolate, the hot milk or cream poured over top of it to melt the chocolate,
yep,
and you're stirring it together.
I am. And we got some butter in there. And if you want to make a flavored ganache, you can infuse your cream with anything you want. You can put a vanilla bean in there and then pour it over the chocolate. Make sure you take the vanilla bean out. You can put cinnamon in your cream and make cinnamon chocolate, or you can add any type of liquor that you want to flavor it, but only add like 15 milliliters.
15 milliliters?
Right.
So could you seize the chocolate? Because people worry about adding moisture to chocolate when you do it. Could you
No.
seize it by adding?
Liquor won't seize your chocolate. It actually makes it better. So if
Okay.
you put it in, it makes it more pliable, and it's just better
So
to
it's
work
not like
with.
adding water. Just
Right.
because it's a liquid doesn't mean it's bad.
Yep.
Okay.
So we got our ganache, and it's all creamy and mixed together.
Okay. So this
So-
is kind of liquidy right now for setting.
Right.
What do we do with this now after we've got it set up?
You can either put it in the fridge for about an hour and a half to 2 hours, or you can leave it overnight at room temp to let it firm up. And currently we piped out some already firmed ganache that we're going to roll into balls and
Okay.
toss in some toasted coconut that we have.
Okay. So this is the ganache, same recipe, just
Right.
the ganache that we've previously made, and
Yep.
we're gonna roll it into balls. So this is set up overnight,
Yep.
right? We should wear gloves when we do this.
So while Chef Andrew is rolling these truffles, I'm going to brulee our creme brulees that we took out of the fridge
Okay.
and are ready to go.
So
They're all
these
set up
are
and chilled.
Set up and chilled. I'm gonna put this over here.
Need some cookies.
So when I roll these into balls, you just want me to roll them dunk them in the coconut?
Yep, just make sure they're nice uniform balls and then dunk them in coconut and make sure they're completely coated.
Okay. And
So
why do I recommend we use rubber gloves for this? Just because the chocolate can stick to
will
your
melt.
hands, it can be a little
Yeah.
bit messy.
And it'd be probably really messy, and then I guess you really don't want people eating your truffles that you had all over your hands. So what we're gonna do is take our brulees and toss a little bit of sugar on top. And then we just want to coat the top.
Just a thin film of
Yeah.
sugar.
You don't want to have too much.
Could you do the same thing with brown sugar?
Yeah, you could use brown sugar. You could stick some cinnamon in your sugar, make some cinnamon sugar. You could, once again, mix some vanilla in and have a vanilla bean.
So the vanilla bean we used in the recipe, we could take the pod and
Yeah.
we could add that to our bag of sugar.
Yep, the one that you strained out from your creme brulee recipe, you can take it, and then you can just put it in some sugar, shake up a bag, and then it'll be vanilla sugar.
Okay. So we need special training in the pastry shop to work the propane torch for this job, or is it
Yes, you
something that
need
we can?
safety, hazardous, it's pretty dangerous. So, you got your flame, and then you just kind of gently warm up the sugar, and not to burn it.
So
you
you're
can
literally cooking the sugar.
Yeah, you want a nice crispy crust on top, just because everyone likes that crack, the first crack that you have on your brulee when you're breaking into it. It's really nice to have a nice coat of sugar on top. So we got a pretty good brulee going there. Gonna lay that on our tray. Chef Andrew's tossing his truffles.
Tossing the truffles.
To my right, I got a couple fruit garnishes that I would like to use with them, as well as the shortbread cookies that we made earlier. So I'm just gonna.
All right, so we got coconut covered truffles,
That's right.
chocolate truffles. We've got the vanilla creme brulee that's now bruleed, and the brulee comes from burnt sugar,
Vanilla honey.
right? So we have a nice crisp top. And then you need,
Yep, we're gonna add some of these nice shortbread cookies that we got and we
awesome,
baked
they look
earlier.
nice.
We're gonna put the brulee on. Then we can add a nice cookie. I have some segmented blood oranges.
Okay,
Normal oranges.
and that's for more color and flavor on the plate.
Yeah. So a little bit of red. We can do some blueberries. We can even put it right on top so that when you break in, you have that nice sugar crack. You also get a little bite of fruit.
Right on. So that should be nice and crisp on the top. When you
Yeah.
cut into it, it should give you a nice crackle.
Blackberries, they look gorgeous when you cut them open. So you
Oh, look
can
at that.
cut some of those open. Then you got your cookie. So
Right
you
on.
can even put a couple of truffles right under here to hoist up your cookie.
And give it a little bit of height.
A little bit of height, a little bit
Awesome.
of color. There you go.
Fantastic, Michelle. Thank you very
Awesome.
much for joining us today.
You're
This was
welcome.
great, great learning. Thank you all for joining us. Kitchen Uncovered. Chef Andrew Nicholson from the Culinary Institute of Canada. Join us next time for the recipes on today's show. Feel free to check out our website at the bottom of the screen, and hope to see you again next week.